Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. These are definitely some special episodes, very epic episodes for us to have the honor to continue to have these conversations with someone that we trust and we respect, and finally had the opportunity really just to have these conversations out in the open with people that want to hear and know that this is a value resource that we look forward to sharing with many others as well. So definitely hit the like and the subscribe. Always hit the like and the subscribe so we can continue to grow the channel. Definitely always want to do that so you can get the pop-up notifications. At least hit the notification button twice so you can actually get the notifications when we do these pop-up episodes. I definitely want to thank everybody for coming to the workshop. These are the type of people that we feature at the workshops. We have Dr. Bay, someone that's pretty much a long time trustee in life and has been able to execute in trusteeship in general and has moved on past that position. So we definitely look forward to sharing this resource again today and having this conversation. So um, this is a very valuable resource, and we thank you for coming on, Dr. Bay. This is the Vault episode number 2, Trustee Training Spiritual Talks with Dr. Bay. This is one of those conversations that we could go from here to there, but we're going to talk about some very specific things today. So we thank you for coming on, Dr. Bay. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
How you feeling today?
I feel great and getting greater just like you.
Thank you, Dr. Bay. Same to you. So we're going to start this out where we could go all over the place. But because Dr. Bay and us, we know what day it is for ourselves, we're going to share something that Dr. Bay can easily have a great conversation on, which is called programming. Now, as much as Dr. Bay wants to share on programming, we're going to let him share. Because when it comes to programming, this is what our lives are built on, whether we want it to be or not. Some people would say, oh, it's the first 7 years. But then hold on, there's 9 numbers. So what happened to the other 2 years? The eighth and the ninth year. Why don't they speak on those things, Dr. Bay? Why does the public or the theory in the public the from which our have you heard that most people say that, oh, you get programmed in 7 years as opposed to 9 years?
I'm sure I've heard it.
Okay, so talk about, if you could share about the program that we can either reprogram ourselves because we are running a program, and how we are programmed from birth.
Well, the programming really starts before birth, but you must remember you have 144 generations on your mother's side, 144 generations on your father's side that is affecting the overall programming of the genes and chromosomes that you have. Now, the immediate, this lifetime of effect is caused by whatever your father felt about having a child before you were born and what your mother felt mainly while carrying you. In other words, not only what she felt, what she ate and what she thought, if she was going through anxiety, attention, or worry, she was connected to you, and those nerves went through you, and they have enormous effects on you. Then the first 9 years of your life, each year is divinely designed to do a certain thing for you, depending on what it is in your world. And so the first year is going to give you the aspects of how you're going to unite. The second year is going to get, the first year is going to give you an aspect of how you're going to lead in your life, yourself and everybody else that can affect present and future generations. The second year is how you're going to unite with people, places, and things. The third year is how you're going to communicate with people, places, and things. The fourth year is the type of effort or work that and the organizational structure and the clarity of everything that manifests. And the fifth year is the energy of creativity. Now, I could give some examples of these, but the sixth year is a year of family and harmony, and the seventh year is a private year of and also a year of you analyzing and criticizing the world about you, and it's from your thoughts and feelings in that year that also should lead you to meditate and concentrate in that year from an individual and private standpoint. And your eighth year is your year of divine design for wealth and power. And the ninth year deals with completion of the things that you started back in your first year, and now you're bringing it to a completed cycle in this. So there are nine, just like you said. It causes things to go the way they do in your life, knowingly or unknowingly.
Knowingly or unknowingly. Isn't that interesting, Dr. Bay? So you don't know what you don't know. These are supposed to be spiritual conversations, Dr. Bay. So let's talk about the spirit. What is spirit when someone says that to you?
Well, first of all, I have to know what they're calling spirit, because everything is tied to the spirit. So when a person says spirit to me, I'm asking them, what are they talking about?
Okay. Okay. What are they talking about? So interesting to hear you say that. You're talking about the spirit. Now the spirit is everything. Everything
Yes,
is spiritual.
yes.
Okay.
What what represents spirit in our world that is used everywhere by everybody?
Well, it sounds like everybody's using the spirit then. And everybody is the spirit. So in turn, that would mean that we would
Yeah, there's a system that we use that the spirit is tied to. Do you know what the spirit system is?
you can share because I definitely don't know right now off the top of my head.
Well, it's a number system.
Oh, okay, that's what.
Everything everything is numbers.
Right.
Every language may have different alphabets, sound different, but all of them use the same language. I mean the same number,
Correct.
because the numbers. And if you know the code system, you know that if you encode and decode number, or if you encode and decode spirit, the poles of each come to the same thing.
Hmm. And that was interesting because recently I was thinking about why do we need guides? So why do you need a guide on this plane of existence? And that was something that was really perplexing me recently was why do you need guides on this plane of existence? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Why do you need a guide?
Right. For example, why do you need why? It's almost asking why do we need the calendar? One. Why do we need the numbers? Two. Why do we need those things?
Well, since the calendar is numbers,
Right.
um, to understand or get a clarity of what you are about or should be about or going through or should be doing. And just like I say, to every spirit, there's a righteous and an unrighteous side to it. So it depends on which side you decide to use.
Right. It's sort of like this movie series they have Dr. Bay is called Star Wars, and they have the light side and the dark side, and you know they're going to war with each other. uh, basically the light side and the dark side. They both know about the force. They know about the spiritual forces. It's just one's using it righteously and one's using it to a degree unrighteously, or they use it at times unrighteously. They use the spiritual powers that they have unrighteously at times.
Hmm.
Yeah, not necessarily for always everyone's greatest benefit. Okay, so we were having a conversation earlier, Dr. Bay, about a gentleman that you know and you met personally, and just to give some level of history and DNA, uh, there's a gentleman that we like and we appreciate. His name is Cassius Clay. Most people know him as Muhammad Ali. Dr. Bay has had the opportunity to meet Cassius Clay in life before. So we would love to hear your engagements with Cassius Clay and just possibly some of the part of the conversations that you can share with us and just your engagements with Cassius Clay. When you met him, did you meet him before he knocked out George Foreman, or did you meet him after he knocked out George Foreman? Or did you meet him before he beat Sonny Liston, or did you meet him after Sonny Liston? When did you get a chance to meet Cassius Clay?
Well, he was down in Florida training for the championship fight. That ended up making him the champion. And I happened to be down in Florida getting ready to take a tour on a ship, on a boat. And he and about 4 or 5 other people were out doors outside with bikes. And knowing me, I started talking to them. And I didn't even know it was Cassius Clay at the time. I was a boxer because I'm not into boxing and that type of stuff. So, uh, but anyway, what happened was that we introduced ourselves. And when he heard my name was Julian Nettlesby, he said, "Wow, one of the 4 greatest people on earth?" And I'd never heard that statement before. And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, there are 4 greatest people, and all 4 of them were born in Kentucky." He said, "You were born in Kentucky?" I said, "Yes." He said, I said, "Who's the 4 greatest people?" He said, "Abraham Lincoln was the greatest president." He said, "Cassius Clay," and I'm not talking about me, but I think he called him White, I don't know, Cassius Clay, that I was named after, who was the greatest civil rights leader we ever had. Uh, I am the greatest boxer, and you're the greatest as far as wisdom goes. I said, "Well, where did you get this from?" And so he asked me about the grammar school that I went to when I was living in Louisville. And I said, "Yeah, I went there." He said, "I went there." He said, "And every teacher that I had that had you spent so much time bragging and talking about how knowledgeable you were that it's not even." Uh, 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 he said, "You're the greatest as far as knowledge goes." And I think about what my brother used to say about me. He would say, we were a year and something apart in age, and we had some of our classes together. And he would laugh about what I do with teachers. He would say, "No," he said, "JT," that's what he called me. He said, "JT, go to class and go to sleep. Wake up and make the highest score on the test." And then he said he'd write on the test, "This is the answer you want for my good grade, but this is the answer it should be." And I was able to do that, which I did do. I was able to do that because I knew how to transcend time and distance and find out what things should be based on what someone was going to ask me.
Hmm. So, okay, Dr. Bay. It's one of those things where people say, "Oh, is these things called superpowers? Are these things everyone can learn to do, or is this something that
Absolutely.
absolutely okay? So it's not limited to a select few."
True.
Okay. How long did it take for you to learn how to transcend time and distance?
I don't really know. I know the whole process took 11 years, and it normally takes 9, but it took 11
Oh,
because
I
they,
remember. No
my
worries.
father,
You don't have
my
to share that.
father, okay.
Yeah. Uh, okay. Okay, so it takes 9 years to learn how to transcend time and distance?
No, it's a whole system, the 92 degrees of
Okay.
knowledge.
Okay. Well, that means that it's not going to be overnight.
Oh, no, it's no da 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 thing. We're
No.
talking about knowing and not believing or being taught. We're not talking about teaching. We're talking about believing. We're talking about knowing. And if you know, you can demonstrate and show. We're talking about being trained. If you're being trained, then you are told and showed how to do something. And then they watch you do it and see if you did it right and correct you if you don't and all that other type of stuff. There's a whole system involved in training that is not involved in teaching
Okay.
or
And
belief.
let's talk about that. We talked about programming at the beginning of this. Now we're talking about going back to some very basic things, which are training and teaching. Tied it into the word system. Why do we need to have a system? What is the purpose of a system? The benefit of a
Well, a
system?
system, everything is in a system, whether we know it or not. In other words, you're in a system. The system is a group of things working together in harmony to produce. In other words, you're being produced by your lungs, your kidney, your heart, your glands. Your car is being produced by your tires and battery and motor and transmission. Everything that's working has not one thing doing something. It has a bunch of things working together to do the things that needs to be done.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you sharing that point. Dr. Bates, there's always so much to talk to you about. When we even your story with the Cassius Clay, it might have seemed like it was a da 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 thing. It's not. It's a big deal. You got a chance to meet him. You got a chance to talk to him, and those things are important. So let's talk about.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I even got a chance to explain to him about various types of trust and agreements that could keep from the money being given away and the things that he ended up doing, not the way I suggested he did, but he ended up doing, giving it to the Nation of Islam, the money that they use to do the things that they've done for us, the large mosque and things that they got here in Chicago and all that. But that has to do with trust and that type of thing. I should have done a better job of training in it, but I did get into it with him later on and explain some things to him.
Okay, so when you got a chance to talk to him about these things, he wasn't the champion yet.
Oh no, that was after.
After he was the champion.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. And is there anything about him that you would like us to know about?
Well, not particularly.
Well, what was your impression when you got a chance to meet him after he won the championship again?
Well, and my impression was greater when I met him the first time, mainly because of my feelings about the religious order and him changing his name and all that.
Ah, okay.
Because you got to go by your name at birth, because that's the real you.
Okay.
When somebody uses another name, they just don't know that they don't know. And see, that's the reason I don't blame people. I don't blame. the mothers, the fathers, the sisters, the brothers, the aunts, the uncles, nor the pastors, nor the pope, nor the priest, nor the prophet, none of them, because they don't know better. They don't know that there is a system and that what the system is and how it works. They don't know about core energies and how they are utilized to create the aspect of you that got you on this plane of existence at this time, that is divinely designed to benefit yourself and everybody else, present and future generations.
Hmm. So let's talk about one of the most powerful laws in the universe, which is the power of unity, the power of the law of attraction. Would you say would you say that the law of unity deals with the law of love?
Well, you must remember that love and hate and things like that are more temporary than they are permanent. You can be in love with somebody and they can do some things to you or against you, and now you hate them. You hate them worse than you would somebody that you didn't do nothing for. So you gotta understand that it's just like understanding the power invested in love, if, even religiously. If you encode and decode and know the codes, then love comes to a mind. Just like I tell people, there's no love in the word God. There's no nine vibration. There is the word hate comes to the seven energy, which is the G, and God starts with that. And if you think about what's written in the scriptures, all of the Bible is written about all the stuff God hates. He hated these people for eating something he told them not to. He hated these people for putting blood over not putting blood over their door like he told them. He hated these people for this, that, and the other. And it's all about the things he hates and how he's destroyed people based on it.
Is there a truth that's universal? Is there a universal truth, Dr. Bay?
Yes, and there are a whole bunch of them.
Okay, okay. So there are universal truths. Could you just name one?
Well, everything has a universal truth to it. Every number does. Um, it's no accident that the world is in the shape it's in because of the number one. People feeling like that they got all the right answers. So all of your great leaders that have shaped the world to be like it is, good or bad, first vowel and their first name usually is a one. Whether it's Al, and the first letter is the A in the English alphabet. And so whether it's Al Capone or Adolf Hitler, or Alexander the Great, or Malcolm X, or Mahatma Gandhi, or Hannibal, or Augustus Caesar, or Napoleon Bonaparte, or Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or Abraham Lincoln, or Marcus Garvey, or Marcus Aurelius, or Shaka, you could just go on and on. And they are the ones that have this energy that causes things to be the way they are, whether they're good or bad, because they're people with that energy feel like that they need to control themselves and the masses.
Hmm. Okay. You have that energy.
Yeah, I have the energy in my name. I have all three of the ones in my name. I have the J and the A in but we're dealing with whether it's your first vowel or not. The J and the A in my first name, and then in my Last name in my middle name I have the A and the S, and then in my last name I have the S.
Hmm. So the numbers are spiritual.
Oh yeah, if you
So,
encode and decode spirit, and if you encode and decode number, it'll come to the same spirit, the same energy.
so in order for us to grow spiritually, we must learn the numbers.
Well, knowingly or unknowingly, you're led a certain way, but whether you, based on your feelings, but whether you follow your feelings or not is another story.
So we're supposed to follow our feelings?
Yes, and you got to know which one is righteous and which is unrighteous.
Okay.
So, to
Okay.
follow your righteous feelings.
Follow your
Righteous means
righteousness.
that's good for all concerned. So that righteous and unrighteous are always present.
Okay, that's a good point. Well, hold on. What if somebody can justify in their own mind that that is a righteous reason or not righteous reasons? Would you say that?
Yeah, but the question comes: is it good for all concerned? If it's good for all concerned, it's righteous. If it's not, it's unrighteous.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to learning, we got to stick to this right now. We got to stick to harmony and order, Dr. Bay, and having priorities. Let's talk about having a plan and your priorities. How important
Okay,
is that from a spiritual perspective?
extremely. That's the reason why you need to know your reasons for being and the pathway to achieve it. Just like the example I give all the time is, let's say your reason for being is to go to the North Pole, but and the North Pole is north of you, but you go decide to go west. You can go all around the world and never get to the North Pole, never get to your reason for being. You could have went east and went all around the world and never got to it. Now, certainly, if you went south, you could have went almost all around the world before you got there. So knowing that there's a pathway and what that pathway is why it's so important to know what your name is at birth and what each of the energies in your name is and the positions that they're in and how they connect with your world that you're in.
Hmm. So who really chose our names at birth?
We did.
We did?
Sure we did.
Okay, so we chose it
And we
before.
may have given it to our mother, our father, our cousin, our nurse, or whatever, but what was accepted at birth was the energy that you had and knew because nobody else knew what karmic debts you owed at all. You did. And see, we don't realize that the spirits that we have, what happens in the transformation from one lifetime to the next.
So we take on the karmatic debt, so we take on the karmatic debt. You saying we don't fall into it by accident. We knew what was gonna what we did in the last one, and we coming over into the next one, but we didn't get rid of it yet.
Right? Uh, there is a law dealing with sowing and reaping. And if you didn't reap yet from what you sowed, righteous or unrighteous, you you can take it into the next lifetime, and now you got to pay that debt or receive that blessing. And they're both blessings and debts that one has to go through from lifetime to lifetime.
We can. Well, I shouldn't say can't. Is it one of those things where we can Ah, that was just a great way to put it, though. The way you put it made it seem very straightforward. So you're going through lifetimes and you gotta correct your flaws. So you don't have any karmatic debts, right?
Right.
It must feel good, huh, Dr. Bay?
Yeah, and I look at it, and it explains some things. I've never had a fight in my entire life with nobody. Just like my kids said, they've never had an argument with me.
Hmm.
Uh, when you don't owe a karmic debt, and then turn around on the other hand and understand and know the various spirits that you have and that they have, then you know how you're divinely designed to help them in overcome their karmic debt if they have one, or if they don't have one, or if it's a karmic blessing.
Hmm. Okay. So we chose our name before we incarnated here on this plane of existence. We told it to somebody through the spirit, cause we're a spirit, and that's how that works. What do
Yeah,
you think makes a person be ashamed of their name?
uh, probably something in a previous life that the spirit is revealing to them in this life that they need to overcome.
Hmm. Okay. It seems as though we run across
And a
quite a
lot,
few people like that.
yeah, a lot of times it is uh, programming that is inaccurate. For an example, uh, with, I don't know how many people I've heard. They say, "Well, no, didn't want that name. That's the white man's name." They don't understand that only one letter was created by them, and now we're going to give them credit for all of them.
Right. Well, when you say that they only created one, if you're gonna say it's the letter J, well, I mean, reading over the 1611 King James Version, there's quite a few letters that are still not present. They didn't have Y's, I think. They didn't have quite a few letters at that time.
You know,
So
but J was the last one.
okay, okay. Because I was gonna say when you say they created J and that was the only letter they created, it's like, well, the Hebrews 22, they at least created four or five just based in the English language, based off of 26 letters. So
Yeah, but the others came from them going to the University of Timbuktu and what they got from there.
okay, so they needed to learn language. Is that what you're saying, or they needed to learn the numbers? Because that's the universal
Mhm.
language. So did they go in there and learn the numeric language?
Both.
Okay, there we go. Hmm. So was the University of Timbuktu a sacred place?
Well, at the time, yes,
When you say yes in that respect, what makes you say yes?
it became Mali became one of the uh, headquarters early in history of mankind of knowledge. However, later on, it became after it was taken over by the Islamic people, it became a major disaster.
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask you
And
is it considered a mosque after they took over?
yes,
Okay, there we go.
major disaster. And that's why the richest man ever on earth had more slaves than anybody else, and he was one of us.
Mansa Musa?
Yes.
You said he
And
had,
don't forget,
huh?
but I started to say, and don't forget, his first vowel was an A.
That's true. So was that his real name?
Yes.
Okay, so that was his real name, Mansa Musa. He's definitely somebody hanging on the wall here. So, okay, so you got Mansa Musa, and you say he had slaves?
More than any other person in the history of mankind.
Wow. And that's why he was the richest man in mankind, right?
Well, because of the gold and stuff that was in the area that he was over and that he took over and took control of. Yes.
So let's talk about that. So the gold that he held, give an idea of how much gold he held.
I have no idea.
Okay, you have no idea.
I
Okay,
know
so
it was more, more, and it was one of the reasons why gold took an international aspect of being a way of controlling the economics of planet Earth.
but he was so early in time. How do you think about that, Dr. Bay? That was a long time before any modern anything came along, you know.
Depending on what you're calling modern on anything
Well, I mean,
came
okay,
along.
Mansa Musa was what year? What year was he alive?
I was getting ready to ask you the same question. What year was you said it's so long time ago?
He was definitely before 300 AD because the Nicene Council was 300 AD, so he was definitely 300
No,
AD.
no, 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 no. It was not. It was way after that. Over
He,
1,000 years after.
so he was 1300 then.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. That's a much closer time.
Okay, in the 1300s. Okay, that's fair enough. So 1300s,
13th.
that's not too long ago for now.
Uh, he was influenced by Brother Bay. They got him into Islam.
Is he an original Malian?
Who?
Mansa Musa.
Yeah, yes, Timbuktu is calling.
Okay, okay. So what do you think made this gentleman in particular get to his prominence in history? Because this is definitely someone that we appreciate, and maybe you could shed light on why we shouldn't appreciate him. But what is it about Mansa Musa that made him the richest man outside of him having slaves? But what made him that guy?
His energy.
Okay, let's talk about it. Do you know when his birthday is? How hard is it to find out
No,
someone's energy
I
if
don't
you?
know. And I'm not interested in going into all that anyway, even if I did have time.
Okay, well, oh, you okay? So you're not interested in saying what
Do
made him
you
so?
realize that I could take your name or any name and spend a week on it?
Well, we would like for
So
you to do that.
if people really wanted to know about themselves, know who they are, where they came from, go through a life of passage, go through a spiritual rebirth, and that type of thing, they need to get back in touch with you and have you set them up in a way that they can be trained how to do that.
There we go. We thank you for that, Dr. Bay, because you definitely are that guy to help us do that. We appreciate that. Is there anything you would like to say before we depart?
Other than we've got to get where we think, but we got to know and not believe. We got to know and not just simply recall what is in those libraries. And the way to do that is to go back and see what actually happened. Because what happened may, from an interpretation standpoint, have little or nothing to do with what the person that did it really was thinking. Well, our interpretation of what he or she was about.
That's very important. You there?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any more sauce you'd like to add on that?
Well, only that we need to get where we think and not and know and can demonstrate and show. That's why we need trained and not just teaching somebody or somebody telling us something and insisting that we believe what they said. Uh, it's like uh, somebody asked me uh, about a religious guy called God, what I thought about God. And I said, well, try not to think about it as much as possible. And they said, well, why not? I said, well, you got to understand that that was a system used to create the fear in us. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, well, think about this. There are two major characters in the Bible, right? One's called God and one's called the devil or Satan, whatever you want to call him. And there are two major acts, righteous and unrighteous, good or bad, or whatever you want to call them, right? I said, well, according to the scripture, who does all the unrighteous acts? Satan or God? Or the devil or God? Of course, they immediately said, the devil. I said, no, that's not true. Think about it. God is the one that kicked these people out of their homes, out of their house because they ate something he told them not to. God is the one that even turned this lady to salt and killed her while he was killing every man, woman, and child in the city simply because she looked back and he told her not to. God is the one that killed the babies because their parents didn't put blood over their door. God is the one that killed everybody on earth except Noah, his 3 sons, and their wives because God didn't only do that, God killed his own son. They need some stuff like that the devil done, according to the Bible. Nobody's come up with nothing yet. We got to understand that we've been had. And what the truth is, and the reason why God did all the killing, and it goes back to 2 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, the 6th verse, the reason why we done all that killing was that's what it says, that the letter is about killing. And if it's a numeric system, how many letters do we have in the English language? 26. And what number letter is the G? It's the 7. What number is the O? It's the 15. 7 and 15 is 22. And what number is the D in God? It's 4. And 422 is 26. It's not about God. God is about killing. It's all demonstrable.
The truth. Would they say the truth will set you free, Dr. Bay?
Yes.
Is the truth going to really set somebody free?
I don't know. Depending on what you call it free. Free is another one of those 7s, so you gotta.
Have you encoded and decoded the entire English language?
Well, that's easy to do. It's 26 letters, and each letter is yes, I have.
The language. I'm talking about the words, all the words in the language.
I don't know all the words. Nobody does.
Right. Well, I mean, most of the modern words, most words that you speak.
Yeah, most words I speak, I have some idea of what they are and what they're talking about.
Okay. And see, that's important, Dr. Bay, because then it makes you be very selective in your words. And that's why I just asked real
That's
quick.
it. Yeah, that's reading. When you call, you don't hear me say hello. When people say hello to me, I say, it's not down there. They said, what's not down there? I said, you said hell and you said low. It's not down there. Because if it was down there, it wouldn't be able to hold all the people that said it there.
That. Hmm.
That's the reason I say yell low. And whether you yell low, which is talking, or whether you take the color yellow, it deals with what? Communication. The three energies. Communication.
Great.
And communication starts with a C, which is the third letter of the alphabet.
Do you think it's that time, Dr. Bay, where this knowledge and these type of thought processes are meant to take hold and root in people's hearts and minds to take action right now?
Absolutely.
Hmm. We appreciate you, Dr. Bay. You shared some incredible things with us today that are really focused on people coming together and working together in a system. And that's what we definitely look forward to hearing from you all. Christian at trustchristian.com. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, we have classes and conversations with Dr. Bay weekly. And these are just the conversations that we have, but we want to definitely have them more privately so we can talk about those things. So feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. And we'll be having those conversations with Dr. Bay so we can, like we talked about, Dr. Bay has helped us really put in place a goal achievement system, and that's something that we've helped trustees that enroll in the trustee training. They get access to the goal achievement system. That's what's important, is getting a goal achievement system in place. See, people think success is not guaranteed, but just like Dr. Bay say, it's a belief system. If you believe that you can or cannot do something. But there's a difference when you get in a knowing system and you know you can achieve and you know you can succeed and you're not guessing. It's not a maybe, it's not a kind of, it's a definitive. I've made the decision and it's going to happen. That's the difference. Appreciate you, Dr. Bay, for coming on today, sharing your words of wisdom. So, Dr. Bay is helping us get things that we need. You got to get your health correct. You got to get your wealth correct. Make sure the wealth is always positioned properly. When we talk about, yeah, what is that? Your wisdom. How you gonna be happy if you don't have the knowledge? Appreciate you, Dr. Bay, for giving us that knowledge, sharing with us that
You are.
we have to further ourselves in the knowledge of self. Like the ancient Egyptians said, we gotta have knowledge of self. The before and the
Well,
after.
most people don't even know who the Egyptians were.
Well, Dr. Bay, that's true that we're in modern times. So the modern times, most people think that the Egyptians are the light-skinned, fair-skinned people that are wearing the black stuff around their eyes. Wouldn't the original, quote-unquote Egyptians before they were Egyptian were Kemites?
But they weren't Egyptians then.
Right, they were called Kemites.
Right?
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all want that treat, go research the Kemites as opposed to the Egyptians so you can know who really built some of the original pyramids as opposed to coming in later and doing colonization. Appreciate you all for tuning in live. Listen replay. Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to seeing you at the workshop this weekend on Saturday. It's going to definitely be a great one, 9 to 5. It's not just information and strategy. It's focused on putting things in place for the family and having those real conversations. Whether it's putting the banking system in place, whether it's trusteeship, foundation, all those things. Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you. We're going to have more conversations with Dr. Bay. If you'd like to get more, actually get in contact with Dr. Bay. We don't want to say you get a reading, but we're talking about enrolling in the system. When we talk about a goal achievement for sure, we got to make sure we're setting goals. So Dr. Bay is definitely making himself available. We look forward to hearing from you all. Christian at Trust Christian.